imaginary picture. Usually it's something that moves.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel The Storyscape, and this time the novel that I'm going to review is Kafka on the Shore by Murakami Haruki. Now this was a crazy novel. Like, I really love it. Japanese authors are living in a different world altogether. But anyways, the story talks about two intertwining journeys, one of Kafka Tamura, a teenage boy who has run away from his home, and another of an elderly man called Nakata who has no memory of his childhood and has the ability to talk to cats. Without any delay, let's begin with it.
I'll be the last one left when the lights go out. I'm down to
The story of Kafka on the Shore has been written in such a way कि जो odd number pages हैं, it tells us the story of the 15-year-old boy Kafka, and जो even number pages हैं, it tells us the story of an elderly person Nakata. इसी तरीके से हम कभी Kafka की story को follow करेंगे और कभी Nakata की story को follow करेंगे. Story begins with a teenage boy जो अपने घर में है. He's about to turn 15 and he's planning to run away from his home. उसके साथ एक और character है जिसका नाम Crow बताया गया है. Crow भी उसकी age का ही लड़का है. However, the way the crow has been described, हम समझ सकते हैं कि वो एक real human being नहीं है. Maybe he's an embodiment of the subconscious mind of the kid. ये teenage boy अपने आने वाले 15th बर्थडे पे, जो कि कुछ ही दिनों में है, अपने घर से भागने का प्लान करता है. एंड क्रो उसको पूछ रहा है कि आर यू श्योर यू गोइंग टू डू दिस, लाइक हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू लिव इसके बाद. एंड इफ़ यू आर एबल टू डू दिस एंड यू विल बी द वर्ल्ड्स टफेस्ट 15-year-old boy. While leaving from his house, he takes some cash, a small gold lighter, a folding knife, and उसके बचपन की फ़ोटो जिसमें वो और उसकी elder sister है. And now he doesn't remember how his elder sister probably looks like. And then he leaves. रास्ते में उसको साकुरा मिलती है in the bus, जिससे उसकी दोस्ती होती है. And he introduces himself as Kafka Tamura. So now that is going to be his name. They exchange number and then they part ways. He goes to Takamatsu and वहाँ पे Komura Memorial Library में he meets Oshima. And he also takes up a place at a hotel and he also joins up a gym. Now जो नाकता का chapter है, it starts with military reports of a strange incident of 1946 in Yamanashi prefecture where multiple children collapsed in the woods. अब जितने भी बच्चे थे वो सारे तो रिकवर कर जाते हैं, लेकिन नाकता इकलौता ऐसा बच्चा होता है जो इस इंसिडेंट के बाद अपनी सारी मेमोरी खो देता है उस इंसिडेंट की, एंड रीडिंग और राइटिंग की एबिलिटी भी खो देता है. ये जो पूरा इंसिडेंट होता है, इट इज़ ब्लेम्ड ऑन रिलीज ऑफ अ पॉइजनस गैस, और फिर इस रिपोर्ट को बंद कर दिया जाता है. In the present time, we see an old man talking to a cat. We get to know that this person is none other than Nakata. And we also get to know that after the previous incident जो हुआ था Yamanashi prefecture में, though he lost his ability to read and write, but he gained the ability to talk to cats. He lives in Nakano ward on the subsidy given by the government to him. He's looking for a cat called Goma, and investigation के दौरान he meets Mimi-san. Mimi-san is a pet cat, जो उसे बताती है कि nearby के एक vacant plot में कैट्स यूजुअली गैदर होती हैं. कावामुरा ने वहाँ पे गोमा को देखा है. हावेवर काफ़ी टाइम से वहाँ पे एक गंदा आदमी आता है हु कैचेस कैट्स एंड टेक देम अवे, एंड शी डिस्क्राइब्स अ मैन एज अ टॉल पर्सन वेयरिंग अ हैट एंड लॉन्ग लेदर बूट्स. ना काफ़ी दिनों तक जो है हमारी जो नाकता है, ही गोज देयर एंड स्टेज देयर की वेटिंग फॉर द मैन टू कम. हावेवर काफ़ी टाइम तक आदमी नहीं आता है. ड्यूरिंग दिस प्रोसेस वी ऑल्सो गेट टू नो कि नाकता की जो स्किल्स हैं इज़ मोर ऑफ लाइक एन एनिमल. जैसे कि वो ना केवल बात कर पाता है बिल्लियों से, लेकिन जो विजिलेंस एनिमल्स में होती है, लाइक इवन दो दे आर स्लीपिंग दे आर स्टिल विजिलेंट. दैट इज़ हाउ ही इज़ ऑल्सो. अलॉन्ग विद दैट ही डज नॉट नीड अ वॉच. ही हैज़ दैट बॉडी क्लॉक जस्ट लाइक एनी एनिमल डज. Coming back to Kafka, it has been 7 days since he has been a runaway. He has built himself a very good schedule, going to the gym, then to the library, eating dinner at a nearby station, and then going back to his hotel. However, on the 8th day, something changes as he wakes up in the middle of nowhere with blood on his clothes and injury to his hands. He has no memory of what has happened, and he's very scared, and he also notices that his shadow is a bit longer than usual. Afraid of what to do, where to go, he calls up Sakura and then goes out to meet her. He goes to meet Sakura and उसको पूरी स्टोरी बताता है कि उसके साथ अभी क्या हुआ एंड हाउ वो घर से भागा हुआ है क्योंकि उसके फादर से उससे बनती नहीं है, एंड उसकी मदर जब वो 4 साल का था खुद घर छोड़ के चली गई थी और उसकी बड़ी बहन को भी लेकर चली गई थी. She asks him if such a thing has happened before also, where he has lost his memory and something unusual has happened. He says yes, it has happened. He has, there have been times when he flies into a rage and doesn't remember anything. However, it has nothing been too serious. That night, Sakura उसके bandages वगैरह करती हैं. They do get a little bit intimate. The next day, he leaves Sakura and even checks out of his hotel, जहाँ पे वो ये बोल के रह रहा था कि वो एक student है and he's here for a research purpose. Now with nowhere else to go, he's in the library and thinking what to do next. And वहाँ पे उस time पे librarian Oshima comes. Now Oshima, just like Kafka, also loves to read a lot. So they both have a kind of a good bond wherein they always talk about the books that they have read and the authors as well. Then Oshima comes up and shares food with him, and Kafka outrightly उसको बोल देता है कि listen, I need some help. I do not have anywhere else to go. And Oshima is like, I know that you're a runaway. Oshima ने पहले ही सारी चीज़ें guess कर ली होती हैं. Oshima suggests him कि मैं तुम्हें अपना assistant बना लेता हूँ, and even the owner, Miss Psyche, won't have a problem. I'll talk it out with her. However, till the time these things don't get sorted out, till the time I don't ask her and everything is sorted, you need to be somewhere else. And वो उसको mountains में लेके जाता है कोची की तरफ, जहाँ पे उन mountains में there is a cabin जो उसका खुद का है, उसका और उसके भाई का है, and there are no human beings around, there's just forest and forest. So Oshima takes him there to the mountains and only tells him one thing, which is not to venture too deep into the forest because you might get lost. Because पहले भी ऐसा हो चुका है, 2 soldiers गए थे and unfortunately उनको रास्ता नहीं मिला and they got lost, उनकी body भी find नहीं हुई थी. Anyway, the first night for Kafka was a bit scary, and उसी time पे Crow भी emerge होता है and Crow calls him a scared looking kid, जो बाहर से बस टफ है लेकिन जैसे ही पहली प्रॉब्लम आती है starts crying. During that first night, Kafka says that silence, I discover, is something you can actually hear. Looking at Nakata's story, we see that he has been going to that empty plot every day but unable to meet that man. However, one day he meets a dog there who takes him to a house. There he meets the man जो Mimi-san ने describe करा था. The man introduces himself as Johnny Walker and shows Nakata a fridge जिसमें उसने 20 बिल्लियों के कटे हुए सर रखे होते हैं. Nakata ये देख के खुश होता है कि उसमें गोमा का सर तो नहीं है. Johnny then tells him that he's collecting souls of cats to create a special flute to collect even larger souls. And he's tired of it and there's only one way to stop him, that is, Nakata has to kill him. And then वो one by one Nakata के सामने ही paralyzed cats को निकालना शुरू करता है, incising their stomach and eating their hearts. Finally, unable to take it, Nakata stabs him and kills him. वहाँ से वो Mimi-san और गोमा को rescue करता है and गोमा को उसके घर वापस छोड़ देता है. After that, he goes to the police station and tells him everything about Johnny Walker, वहाँ के police officer को कि मैंने Johnny Walker को मार दिया, about the flute, about the cats, etc. etc. However, the officer does not take him very seriously. जाते जाते Nakata उसको ये बता देता है that tomorrow there is going to be fishes falling down from the sky, and that is exactly what happens. Next day, fishes do fall from the sky and even police officers find the dead body of Johnny Walker. However, it's too late because Nakata already Nakano ward से बाहर निकल चुका है and hitchhike करते फूजिकावा तक पहुंच चुका होता है. वहाँ पे उसको कुछ लड़के मिलते हैं जो एक लड़के को बुली कर रहे होते हैं, and वहाँ पे when he goes and opens up his umbrella, leeches start to fall out of the sky. And then वहाँ पे restaurant में he meets a lorry driver who agrees to give him a lift till Kobe. Back to Kafka's story, it's been 3 days and then Oshima comes to finally take Kafka back to the library. Over there, he starts working as an assistant and हमें Miss Psyche की back story भी पता चलती है that how when she was young, she had a lover and उनका relationship बहुत लंबा था. Then the guy went to Tokyo and soon after some time, Miss Psyche also followed him and she even released a music piece जिसका नाम था Kafka on the Shore. और वो music piece काफ़ी ज़्यादा famous हुआ था. However, थोड़े टाइम बाद ड्यूरिंग अ स्टूडेंट अनरेस्ट पीरियड उस टाइम पे उनके लवर को मिस्टेक कर लिया गया था फॉर एन ऑपोजिट पार्टीज लीडर एंड ही वाज ब्रूटली मर्डर्ड. एंड उसके वजह से मिस साइकी वैनिश्ड फॉर मेनी ईयर्स एंड सडनली रीअपियर्ड एंड उन्होंने ये मेमोरियल लाइब्रेरी जो है ये खड़ी करी थी बिकॉज दिस इज़ द प्लेस वेयर हर लवर यूज्ड टू स्टे. Oshima tells Kafka that Miss Psyche has a broken heart and now Kafka is living in the room जो Miss Psyche के lover का हुआ करता था, and in that room there is also painting of the lover. Now one day Kafka and Oshima are working in the library when 2 elderly women come and they start arguing फालतू का, saying that the order of the books is wrong. ये जो female writers हैं उनका books आपने बाद में रखा है, male writers की पहले रखी हैं, this is so sexist. Oshima is trying to tell them कि जो books का order है it is based upon alphabetical order of the names of the authors and not because they are sexist or something else. लेकिन फालतू में those women are arguing and finally they are unable to argue any further and have to leave when Oshima reveals that he is actually biologically a female. The following day newspaper में article आता है that the world-renowned sculptor Kafka Tamura was found dead. And it is revealed that this person is none other than Kafka's father. Along with that ये भी न्यूज़ होती है कि किस तरीके से नाकानो वार्ड में फिशेस गिरी थी आसमान से एंड फूजिगावा में किस तरीके से लीचेस गिरी थी आसमान से. Now, Over here, Kafka and Oshima talk about his father's death, and Kafka finally reveals to Oshima why he actually left the house. He said कि उसके father ने उसको बचपन में ही बोला था that he's cursed, he has the Oedipal curse. Oedipal curse के according, he is supposed to be the person जो अपने father को मार देगा and will sleep with his sister and with his mother. After this conversation that very night, Kafka sees a ghost of a 15-year-old girl who's sitting at the desk thinking about something. And he feels कि ये जो ghost है ये मिस साइकी का ही है. So very much intrigued, next day वो ओशिमा को बोलता है कि उसको सुनना है Kafka on the Shore का music piece. Somehow or the other ओशिमा arrange करता है कुछ दिनों में and then he listens to it and Kafka को उसके जो lyrics हैं वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा intrigue करते हैं. The moon shines down on a sleeping lizard. Little fish rain down from the sky. Outside the window there are soldiers steeling themselves to die. Now Kafka feels कि भाई ये जो lyrics हैं ये तो reality में हो नहीं गए हैं. जैसे कि little fish rain down, वो चीज़ हुई थी, it was there in the newspaper. Same way दो soldiers थे जो कि गायब हो गए थे. Maybe ये उन्हीं soldiers के वो mention करा गया जो कि गायब हो गए थे forest में जाके. And काफ़ी ऐसे lyrics हैं जिनका meaning Kafka is unable to make out and he's very much intrigued. Now, for many days, he continues to see the ghost of the little girl. And he starts suspecting that maybe Miss Psyche is his mother. And Miss Psyche maybe suspects it and she just says one thing to him that, you know what, jab she was missing, she actually went around interviewing people for her research. Those people who actually survived the lightning. And then Kafka realizes that such a thing also happened with his father. वो भी lightning को survive कर गए थे. And actually, he got serious about his career as a sculptor after that very incident. So Kafka does think that yes, there's a high possibility that Miss Psyche is his mother. Coming back to Nakata's story, Nakata is going to Shikoku with the lorry driver जिसका नाम होशिनो होता है. वहाँ पहुँच के they stay at a hotel and Nakata sleeps for days. And when he wakes up, he tells Hoshino that they need to look for an entrance stone. Now while looking for the entrance stone, one day while Nakata is sleeping at the hotel, होशिनो बाहर होता है and होशिनो को एक आदमी मिलता है जिसका नाम कॉलोनल सैंडर्स होता है. Sanders tells Hoshino that he knows what they're looking for and he can actually take him to the entrance stone. He also tells Hoshino कि वो एक human being नहीं है. He is something else. उसने बस ये body Colonel Sanders की ली है. He has just taken this form. Then he takes Hoshino to a shrine and वहाँ से एक पत्थर देता है वो होशिनो को जो होशिनो वापस लाके नाकता के बेड साइड में रख देता है. When Nakata wakes up उसको वो stone दिखता है and he talks to the stone and then वो होशिनो को बताता है कि आज रात को lightning होने वाली है. There's going to be a storm. And then he tells Hoshino everything about Johnny Walker, about his childhood, every single thing. And finally, when the time is right, Hoshino helps Nakata in turning the stone. Hoshino वो पत्थर उठाता है जो suddenly बहुत ज़्यादा heavy हो चुका होता है and बहुत ज़्यादा difficulty के बाद he is able to turn the stone. And इसके बाद वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा storm भी होता है. And then one day, after this whole incident, Nakata काफ़ी थक चुका होता है तो वो सो रहा होता है. And then Hoshino is out in a cafe and he's listening to various songs like Archduke Trio. And when he gets back, he gets a call from Colonel Sanders who tells Hoshino that they need to rush up. Hoshino और Nakata को immediately वहाँ से निकलना होगा and उसके बताए हुए एड्रेस पे जाना होगा खुद से एक टैक्सी वगैरह लेकर. Reason being कि the police is looking for Nakata and obviously वो पकड़े जा सकते हैं. Nakata and Hoshino leave that place immediately and वो उस बताए हुए एड्रेस पे रहने लगते हैं. And then Hoshino asks Nakata कि next step क्या होने वाला है. Nakata is like, I do not know, but let's go around the city and मेरे को जहाँ पे देख के कुछ लगेगा then I'll know कि यही हमारा next step है. So वो ये चीज़ 2-3 दिनों तक करते हैं and finally when they come across Komura library, Nakata is like, you know what, this is the place where I need to be at. During this whole time, Kafka gets to know that the detectives are looking for him with regard to his father's death and he needs to stay low. One night while he's asleep, Miss Psyche sleepwalks into his room and gets intimate with him. The next day, he confesses to Miss Psyche that firstly, he has feelings for her and wants to get intimate with her, and how he also suspects that she might be his mother. Then one night, Miss Psyche knowingly comes into his room and then they both get intimate. And after that, she asks him why did he have to die. उनका थोड़ा romantic relationship होता है. Then one early morning, Oshima calls Kafka up and says that he needs to pack up and immediately leave because the investigation is getting serious now. Kafka is back in the mountains and he's all alone. He also has a sexual dream in which he gets intimate with Sakura, and since he's all alone, he's reflecting upon a lot of things. He thinks about his father's murder and realizes that even before this murder, that house was a place where lots of things were murdered. He also questions कि why did his mother have to leave him? Didn't he deserve to have a loving mother? And at this point, Crow emerges and tells him that the things in the past are like a plate that shattered to pieces. You can never put it back or as it was. And all he can do is understand कि उसकी mother ने जो भी करा वो क्यों किया, and just forgive her and move on. At this point, Kafka realizes that yes, he's in love with Miss Psyche. And as days go by, one day he's exploring deeper into the woods when he sees two men coming out of the woods towards him. And it's none other than two soldiers that went missing years ago. Enchanted by the Komora Memorial Library, Mr. Nakata goes and sees Miss Psyche. Over here we get to see कि काफ्का की जो दुनिया है और Mr. Nakata की जो दुनिया है वो दोनों merge होने लगी है. Miss Psyche meets Nakata and says that she has been waiting for him for quite a long time. Mr. Nakata भी Miss Psyche को बताते हैं कि उन्होंने कुछ ही दिनों पहले entrance gate को open कर दिया है and now it's time for them to leave. Miss Psyche agrees with him and says कि कुछ सालों पहले जब उन्होंने वो गेट खोला था she made a mistake and वो बस वेट करी थी इसी पल का. मिस्टर नाकता मिस साइकी से काफ़ी सारी बातें करते हैं, सब चीज़ें बताते हैं. ही ऑल्सो टेल्स हर दैट ही किल्ड अ गाय, ही टुक द प्लेस ऑफ अ 15-year-old बॉय. एंड हमें यहाँ पे कंफर्म हो जाता है कि मिस्टर नाकता ने जिसको मारा था वो काफ्का के पिता ही थे. एंड ओवर हियर वी ऑल्सो गेट टू सी कि काफ्का का जो वो टाइम लैप्स हुआ था जहाँ पे ही सडनली वोक अप विद ब्लड ऑन हिज बॉडी, ही वेंट एक्चुअली टू हिज हाउस, लेकिन अपनी बॉडी के थ्रू नहीं, मिस्टर नाकता की बॉडी के थ्रू. And Mr. Nakata took place of Kafka and killed his father for him. Anyways, then Miss Psyche says कि जाने से पहले she has written her memories down on some papers and Mr. Nakata को ये सब चीज़ें burn करनी पड़ेंगी for him. And then Mr. Nakata वो सारा सामान लेके all those files Mr. Hoshino के साथ वहाँ से चले जाते हैं. In the real world, अगले दिन ओशिमा मिस साइकी से मिलने आता है and he sees that Miss Psyche has passed away. हमें दूसरी साइड में नाकता और होशिनो दिखते हैं जो कहीं जंगल में, कहीं दूर रास्ते में उनकी जो मिस साइकी की जितनी भी मेमोरीज है वो सारी जला रहे हैं. जलाने के बाद दे कम बैक टू देयर हाउस, देयर प्लेस एक्चुअली, एंड वहाँ पे दे स्लीप. एंड नेक्स्ट डे व्हेन होशिनो वेक्स अप ही रियलाइजेस दैट मिस्टर नाकता हैज़ एक्चुअली पास्ड अवे. डेज हैव पास सिंस मिस्टर नाकता पास्ड अवे, लेकिन होशिनो वहाँ से जा नहीं रहा है. रीज़न बीइंग कि उसको लग रहा है कि गेट को ऐसे ओपन करके कैसे जा सकते हैं, मिस्टर नाकता का काम अभी पूरा नहीं हुआ है. सो ही हैज़ टू बी देयर, समथिंग विल हैपन. जैसे होशिनो को पता चलेगा कि उसको नेक्स्ट क्या करना है. वो मिस्टर नाकता की जो बॉडी है उसको एकदम ही कोल्ड टेम्परेचर में रखता है ताकि काफ़ी दिनों तक जो है बॉडी स्मेल ना करे, सर्वाइव कर जाए किसी न किसी तरीके से. एंड वन डे आउट ऑफ द ब्लू अ कैट कम्स एंड टॉक्स टू होशिनो. एंड हमें यहाँ पे ये पता चलता है कि मिस्टर नाकता ने जो अपनी कैट स्पीकिंग की जो स्किल्स थी वो पास ऑन कर दिया होशिनो को समहाउ दिया. तो कैट टेल्स होशिनो कि आज ही के रात या फिर आसपास के कुछ ही दिनों में एक क्रीचर निकल कर आएगा एंड वो एंट्रेंस गेट के थ्रू जाने की कोशिश करेगा. एंड होशिनो हैज़ टू स्टॉप हिम, ही हैज़ टू किल दैट क्रीचर एनी वे, अदरवाइज ये दोबारा मौका नहीं आएगा एंड चीज़ें सब बेकार हो सकती हैं. एंड दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट हैपन्स. वन नाइट नाकता के मुंह के अंदर से एक अजीब सा क्रीचर आता है जो कि पैरासिटिक फॉर्म में या अर्थ फॉर्म की तरह हो सकता है, हम कह सकते हैं, बिकॉज इट हैज़ नो लेग्स, उसकी कोई आइज़ नहीं है. एंड होशिनो ट्राइज टू किल दैट क्रीचर, लेकिन वो छोटे छोटे पीसेस में होने के बाद भी वो रुक नहीं रहा है. Then Hoshino decides that maybe, he has to close the gate first. Like gate close करके देखते हैं पहले, creature से बाद में deal कर लेंगे. And that is how he does it. He goes and closes the gate. पत्थर उठाता है, बड़ी मुश्किल से उसको पलट देता है. Gate close होता है and gate close होने के बाद creature से deal करना बिल्कुल भी मुश्किल नहीं था. He kills the creature and decides to leave. On the other hand, जो काफ्का है वो अपनी दूसरी डायमेंशन में ही है, लेकिन वहाँ पे सडनली मिस साइकी उससे मिलने आती हैं जिसका वेट काफ्का भी कर रहा था. मिस साइकी उससे मिलती है एंड शी टेल्स हिम दैट शी हैज़ पास्ड अवे, शी इज़ नो लॉन्गर इन द रियल वर्ल्ड एंड उसके पास ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है, हर मेमोरीज आर ऑल्सो गोइंग टू गो अवे. सो शी हैज़ कम टू टॉक टू काफ्का वन लास्ट टाइम एंड विद अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट मैसेज. शी टेल्स काफ्का दैट ही हैज़ टू लीव, ही हैज़ टू गो बैक टू द रियल वर्ल्ड. काफ्का सेज कि मैं वहाँ जाके क्या करूँगा, कोई नहीं है मेरा अपना वहाँ पे एंड इवन यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी देयर. एंड देन मिस साइकी उसे बोलती हैं दैट इट डजंट मैटर, I don't care if the world forgets me, but if you remember me, that's all that matters to me, so just go back. And finally, Kafka agrees with Miss Psyche and decides to leave. And जाने से पहले वो Miss Psyche को forgive करता है for everything. अगर वो उसकी मदर थी, जाने के लिए, छोड़ने के लिए, वो हर एक चीज़ के लिए उनको forgive करता है and he heals. And वापस अपने real world में आके वो ओशिमा से मिलता है and ओशिमा काफ्का को वो पेंटिंग देता है जो मिस साइकी उसके लिए छोड़ कर गई थी. ये वही पेंटिंग है जो काफ्का के कमरे में लगी हुई थी. देन काफ्का टेल्स ओशिमा दैट ही हैज़ डिसाइडेड कि वो घर वापस जाएगा, पुलिस से कोऑर्डिनेट करेगा बिकॉज उसने अपने फादर का मर्डर नहीं करा था एंड वो वापस अपनी स्कूलिंग को कंटिन्यू करेगा एंड उसके बाद वो जो भी अपनी लाइफ में करना चाहे ही विल बी एबल टू डू इट. यहाँ पे काफ्का ऑन द शोर की कहानी जो है वो ख़त्म होती है. Following the themes of this book, psychoanalytical approach to personality is majorly used by Mr. Murakami. For example, Kafka on the Shore में जो shore है, it signifies the border between the conscious and the unconscious mind. Kafka का जो childhood है was not that good. So his bad childhood experiences of his mother leaving him and his sister also not being there and his so not close relationship with his father is what shapes his personality in the current time. Also, the concept of oedipal complex has been shown over here. An oedipal complex is a major portion of psychosexual stages given by Freud. At the same time, we also get to see that how dreams play an important role in the story. Kafka की जो dream है, it serves as a major gateway into his subconscious mind, unconscious mind, and also into his internal conflicts. And the biggest part is that कि जो crow है, crow can be seen as Kafka's unconscious self or his alter ego. Finally, we also get to see that when Kafka goes into the deeper dimension of the forest with those soldiers, it can be signified as his subconscious mind or unconscious mind. And over there, जब वो finally heal करता है, that is done when he resolves his internal conflict by forgiving his mother and forgiving everything that has happened so far. Going towards theories, one of the theory that emerges is that when Nakata lost his memory in his childhood incident, that would be the time period when Mr. Komura, Miss Saiki's lover, was actually born. Now we know कि after Nakata lost his memory, उनकी reading ability and उनकी shadow भी आधी हो चुकी थी. All of these things were gone. And Mr. Komura has been described as a person जिनको पढ़ना बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद था, normal इंसान से भी ज़्यादा पसंद था. So maybe Nakata's abilities were passed on to Mr. Komura. That is why Mr. Komura used to read extra, जबकि Nakata कुछ नहीं कर पा रहा था. The next theory is that at one point Miss Psyche also had opened that entrance gate and maybe उसी का रिजल्ट रहा होगा कि काफ्का के फादर को जो lightning shock लगा था उसके बाद जो वो सर्वाइव कर गए थे. It could have been a result of that because एक पॉइंट आता है जब नाकता ने वो एंट्रेंस गेट खोला था, बहुत ज़्यादा लाइटनिंग हुई थी एंड मे बी जब साइकी ने भी खोला होगा तो तभी बहुत ज़्यादा लाइटनिंग हुई होगी एंड एट दैट वन पॉइंट काफ्का के फादर को लाइटनिंग शॉक लगा होगा जो वो सर्वाइव कर गए एंड नेक्स्ट थिंग वी नो कि उनका स्कल्पटिंग में उनका मूड ज़्यादा अच्छा हो गया था एंड ही बिकेम जॉनी वॉकर आफ्टर दैट. द थर्ड थियरी इज़ दैट मिस साइकी के वो एंट्रेंस गेट ओपन करने की वजह से मे बी जो मिस्टर कुमरा का जो सोल है इट गॉट ट्रांसफर इन टू काफ्का व्हेन ही वाज बोर्न because Kafka की जो shadow थी वो he noticed that one night that it was extra long. So maybe yes, because Kafka and Komura के अंदर भी काफ़ी सारी similarities थी. Mr. Komura also liked reading books and Kafka did the same. At the end, we also get to see that how Nakata and Miss Psyche both leave something very precious to them after they die. Nakata अपनी cat speaking skills होशिनो को देके चला जाता है and Miss Psyche जो वो painting है उनके lover की वो Kafka को देके चली जाती हैं. The next part being that there were a lot of grammatical errors in my book. I don't know if it's just my book or is it like that is how it is supposed to be. I do not know. But there were many grammatical errors like spellings. But somehow or the other your brain picks it up and then you're like, yeah, you do not get that much affected by it. Now coming to the story, it was mesmerizing and a captivating tale that focuses into the depth of the human subconscious mind. It was crazy. And a lot of questions emerge and you're like whether it's going to be answered or not. Some do get answered, some do not. It is a literary masterpiece that leaves an inedible mark on the reader's soul. Seriously, it does impact you a lot, or at least it gives you it has a different feel to it. It does have the Japanese touch, as I would like to call it, because watching animes and all, there is a certain way that, Japanese people think differently. वो अलग ही दुनिया में रहते हैं कसम से. Overall, I would give this novel a 4.5. Reason being, the ending on part of Kafka's story was not satisfying enough, but this was my first time reading Murakami sir's work, and the reason why Kafka on the Shore manages to connect with me is that we all have mystical things happen to us. We all feel like leaving everything and going somewhere where koi aur na ho, bas hum ho, a place where we can find the missing parts of ourselves. So this was my review of Kafka on the Shore. I hope you liked it. Until the next video, keep reading and keep dreaming.
That's just life. So cross my heart and hope to die. Baby, I was born to